Paris, the city of lights and fashion, stopped in its tracks today as Kim Seokjin, better known as Jin of BTS, stepped into the spotlight at Fred Jewelry's biggest and most prestigious event of the year. But this wasn't just another celebrity appearance. For one night, Fred's dazzling stage transformed into something entirely different, a runway dedicated to Jin himself. From the moment he arrived, the energy shifted. The grand entrance of the venue glowed under spotlights as the doors swung open, revealing Jin in an immaculate tailored suit paired with an exclusive set of Fred's yet-to-be-released jewelry. Cameras exploded in flashes, capturing every angle of his poised yet magnetic presence. Guests turned their heads, whispers rippled through the crowd. There was no doubt that the night had found its centered. As the evening unfolded, it became clear that Jin was more than just a guest. He was the guest. Seated in the front row alongside the most influential figures in global fashion, he radiated the same elegance and charisma that has made him a worldwide icon. When Jin walked the short stretch from his seat to the stage to greet Fred's creative director, it felt less like a casual stroll and more like a catwalk. Every step, every glance, carried the weight of star power, and the audience responded with a mix of awe and adoration. Social media quickly dubbed the event Runway Seokjin, with fans and fashion critics alike flooding timelines with clips, photos, and breathless commentary. He didn't just attend, he owned it, one fashion journalist tweeted. Others marveled at how Jin seemed to merge seamlessly into the world of haute couture, yet still carried the warmth and approachability that has endeared him to millions. By the end of the night, Fred Jewelry's event had achieved something extraordinary. It wasn't just a showcase of artistry and design, but a celebration of artistry and presence. And at the heart of it all was Jin BTS, the man who could turn a Parisian stage into his own personal runway without even trying. The air outside the Grand Palais Éphémère, Paris, was thick with anticipation hours before the event began. The gold-plated invitations to Fred Jewelry's annual gala had already ensured the city's elite would be in attendance, but whispers of Jin BTS's arrival transformed the mood from refined to electric. The streets leading to the venue brimmed with army waving banners, holding cameras aloft, and chanting his name in a dozen different languages. Paris, a city accustomed to celebrity, seemed caught off guard by the sheer gravity of Jin's presence. Inside, the transformation was just as palpable. The runway, usually a temple of Parisian haute couture, had been draped in deep sapphire velvet, the color chosen to complement the new Fred collection titled Lumière Infinie. But when Jin arrived, it was no longer just about the jewelry. It became about him, how the spotlight followed him as though programmed to find his every movement, how the chatter quieted into reverent silence when he stepped through the entrance, clad in a perfectly tailored midnight suit that whispered old-world elegance yet hinted at modern flair. Jin wore a single statement piece from the unreleased collection, a platinum chain with a diamond pendant that caught every stray glint of light. It was subtle yet commanding, much like Jin himself. The photographers couldn't decide which detail to capture first, the effortless way the pendant rested against his crisp white shirt, or the unshakable confidence in his gaze. Seated in the front row between Fred's creative director and a legendary French fashion editor, Jin appeared completely at ease, smiling warmly as the models glided past. Yet every time the runway lights hit the diamonds at his collar, the audience's eyes betrayed a shift, momentarily leaving the collection to linger on him. "He isn't just wearing the jewelry," whispered one critic. "He's telling its story." Midway through the evening, Jin was invited on stage for a brief exchange with the creative director. What should have been a formal handshake turned into something more cinematic. As they embraced and spoke quietly, the screens behind them displayed a rotating projection of Fred's most iconic designs, yet the room's focus never wavered from the two figures at the center. Social media erupted instantly, with the phrase Runway Seokjin dominating global trends. Outside, ARMY, who couldn't get into the venue, clustered near the glass walls, catching fleeting glimpses of him inside. One fan live-streamed the moment Jin paused before leaving the stage, turning slightly to acknowledge the crowd outside. The clip went viral in under an hour, hailed as proof of his unshakable bond with fans, even in the most exclusive of settings. By the time the night ended, Paris felt subtly changed. Fred Jewelry had unveiled a breathtaking collection, yes, but what the city would remember, what the industry insiders would whisper about for weeks, was how Jin BTS had taken an evening of luxury and turned it into a living portrait of elegance. And as the black car door closed behind him and he disappeared into the Paris night, there was a lingering sense that this wasn't just a guest appearance. This was the beginning of something larger, An unspoken collaboration between global artistry and global stardom, and Jin was now standing exactly where he belonged, at the very center of it. Paris woke up differently the next morning. The usual hum of the city's cafe chatter was replaced by one name being spoken in every corner: Kim Seokjin. From the banks of the Seine to the marble-floored lobbies of five-star hotels, last night's Fred Jewelry Gala was all anyone could talk about. Not for the diamonds or the haute couture, but for the man who managed to eclipse them all. French newspapers wasted no time. Le Monde ran a front-page photo of Jin stepping onto the velvet runway with a headline, "Le Roi de la Nuit, Jin BTS Stuns Paris, the King of the Night." Vogue Paris devoted a full spread online to his ensemble, calling it a masterclass in understated dominance, while Le Figaro went so far as to suggest his presence had redefined the boundaries between celebrity and haute couture. Even rival fashion houses, normally reluctant to acknowledge stars associated with other brands, found themselves quietly praising his poise. Social media was an inferno. Clips from inside the Grand Palais Éphémère had been replayed millions of times overnight. One particularly viral video captured the moment the camera zoomed in on Jin's diamond pendant as he adjusted his suit cuff, a small, almost unconscious gesture that seemed to capture the essence of luxury itself. "It's like he's breathing elegance," wrote one user. The comment quickly racking up over 100,000 likes. And the business districts of Paris. Whispers turned into speculation. Was this a one-time special guest appearance, or was Fred positioning Jin as the face of its next global campaign? Industry insiders noted that the pendant he wore was part of a yet-to-be-announced collection, one that had been quietly teased to select buyers, but whose official launch date was still under wraps. "You don't hand a piece like that to just anyone," said a former luxury brand executive. "If Jin wore it, it's because Fred wants the world to see it through him." Meanwhile, outside the fashion bubble, ARMY was in full celebration mode. Fans organized impromptu meetups at Paris landmarks, recreating Jin's gala look in everything from high-fashion replicas to DIY tributes. Hashtags like #RunwaySeokjin, #JinInParis, and #FredaJin trended worldwide, with fan edits blending footage of his performance days earlier in Amsterdam with a polished glamour of the Paris runway. By midday, journalists spotted a familiar black van parked discreetly outside one of Paris's most exclusive hotels. Rumor had it Jin was meeting privately with Fred executives, though no one could confirm if the discussions were about future events, an official ambassadorship, or something even bigger. What was certain, however, was that the jewelry world had felt a shift. Paris had seen countless celebrities walk its runways and grace its galas, but there was something different about last night. Jin hadn't just attended an event, he had taken ownership of it, reshaping its energy until even the most seasoned fashion insiders were left breathless. And somewhere in a high-rise office overlooking the Seine, someone at Fred Jewelry was almost certainly asking the question that millions of fans were already shouting online: "When can we see him on the runway again?"